Hello, hello. Good evening. Welcome to Chrissy After Dark. Let me know if you guys can hear me by pushing one in the chat. After Dark. Playback sounds good. Hey, everybody. Hello. I tried to notify the girls on Instagram, but I don't know. Is Instagram not working for anybody else? Because for some reason, it would not let me upload. So I don't know. Kind of weird. But I'm here. And also, before I get started, I want to say prayers up to anybody down in Florida that was affected by Hurricane Milton and also Hurricane Helene. Prayers up to you. And I hope you get your power restored quickly. I know they said millions of people were out of power. So prayers up to y'all. And hello to everybody else. Hello. Well, hello to y'all too, if you're here, if you're in the building. Shout out to Florida in the building. So, as you can see, we're going to talk about some drama on TikTok that has taken place. Y'all know, I scroll on TikTok and I always find myself going down these rabbit holes. And I saw the S work versus marriage debate. And I was like, okay, yeah, we have to talk about this on a Chrissy After Dark. So that is why I'm here. Oh, and before we get into that, let's address really quickly some mess I saw under the last video. So as you guys know, I did a video about Hallie and DDG. And in the video, I talked about how Hallie dated below her social standing. And even though I feel like I explained pretty, thoroughly what that meant in the video, there was still a bunch of black men in the comment section blowing their dust all up and down the comment section. Talking about, oh, DDG has more money than Hallie. He's just as famous as she is. So since there is some confusion on what social standing is, I thought I would come back to expound on that. So here are the definitions, okay? Social status, we're going to read it. Social status refers to the relative rank or position a person holds within a social hierarchy, often determined by factors like occupation, wealth, education, and prestige. It can be assigned at birth, or achieved through personal efforts. Social status influences how individuals are perceived and treated in society, affecting access to resources and opportunities. That is the definition of social status. And this is from ChatGPT. Oh, I'm sorry. This is from Perplexity. Okay. But you can find this definition if you Google it. You can find it. Okay. Social standing, on the other hand, is more subjective and involves an individual's perceived position within their social environment. It reflects personal judgments about one's social class relative to others and may not always align with objective measures like income and education. I'm pulling out the definitions for those on the slow bus, okay? For those on the short bus, I thought I would come back and give you guys some actual definitions. Google is free. You can look this up on your own as well. So, when we talk about social standing, what we are really talking about here is how a person is perceived, their reputation, okay? And I want to make it clear that the last video, it wasn't about finding a man, me telling women to find a man who has the perfect social standing or the perfect reputation. Look, I don't have the perfect reputation. Most women aren't perfect, so we shouldn't expect men to be. This is also not to say that if you have a good reputation as a woman, that you must date a man with no flaws, or that a man has to have, the perfect background. But the point is, you want to deal with a man that at the very least has a similar social standing and social status to you, preferably higher than yours. Okay. So that there are less potential risks for you as a woman when it comes to dating a man. And I have to talk like this for the people who just need need me to hold their hand a little bit and explain to them like they're 5 years old. Because like I said in the last video, we as women, we have way more to lose in this society, especially when we have children. And remember, ladies, all men come with risks. So with that being the case, you should get the best social and financial deal that you possibly can when it comes to dating and mating, marrying men, or mating with men. And that should not be controversial for me to say, especially, if you are in or plan on entering a career field that depends on your reputation, that depends on how you are perceived. Depending on what you do for a living, some of you won't have to worry as much about that. So this doesn't apply to all of us. And that's why, I kind of wanted to combine these topics with S work and stuff, because the women who aren't as concerned about reputation or whatever, yeah, go ahead and do S work if you want. And I have to censor myself because I'm going to try to keep this live stream monetized. But if you are worried about how you are going to be perceived either now or in the future, then what you do matters. Okay, what you choose to do, what you choose, what career choices you choose, what men you choose, that all matters, because all of that is a reflection of you. This is not hard to understand. And this is also a spectrum. Nobody's social standing is going to be 100% bad or 100% good, right? And you also have to know where you stand as well, so you can be realistic about what you can get in terms of like men, just attracting people in general, trying to create a network of people. You don't want to be delusional about it, right? Me personally, I wasn't born into wealth. I started from the bottom, and my background is not squeaky clean at all. I told y'all I'm a reformed hood rat. I told y'all that. No shame in my game. Okay. So with that being the case, I tend to do well with self-made men who also started from the bottom, or men who were maybe raised working to middle class, right? And made something of themselves and became successful or high earning. I'm not really your old money man type of girl, unless they're, down to earth and they don't really care about class. So, you have to be realistic with yourself. You have to be honest about where you rank as well. Right? And, I am more compatible with men who did not come from 2, 3, 4 generations of wealth. Okay? And to be honest, it's just, I'm more attracted to self-made men anyway. Maybe because, I got it from the bottom, I got it out the mud, so to speak, or whatever. And those men who also got it out the mud, they tend to be more attractive to me. I'm more attracted to that. They, based on my upbringing, or maybe my upbringing influences the way I feel about them, but I find them to be more masculine and hardworking and less entitled, right? Than the men I've met that come from money. And it hasn't been many, I'll be honest. But based on the handful of men I've met who actually come from money that would be considered old money, I just don't vibe with them like that usually. And depending on what kind of woman you are and what you come from, your experiences will be different from mine. If you came from money, I mean, most of us didn't, but if you happen to have come from money and you were born into wealth and, you're high class, you were born into a higher class family, you're going to be more compatible with men who also come from wealth. My family is working class. And I moved up to what is considered here where I live upper middle class. So I'm more compatible with men who also climbed the ladder. You get what I'm saying? Like attracts like. This is not hard to understand. So I was just a little confused about, all of the weird comments under the video. It's like, why don't we understand this? But maybe we don't understand this because unfortunately, as Black people, we think that money is all that matters. We don't think social standing matters at all. Oh, I agree, Star. We're going to get into the S worker thing. Because I see some stuff, as someone who's in the middle, I see some stuff on both sides that's kind of irritating. I'm just going to be honest with you. Yeah. Yeah. And FYI, this is another thing I want to say. I don't expect all celebrity Black women to be hypergamous because that's another thing I saw in the comment section. This one girl was like, oh, well, these women, they make a lot of money. A lot of them aren't going to be able to date and marry up. I know that. And I've said that before. Those women, especially these millionaire Black women, period. They're in a very rare situation financially. However, I believe that most of them can still choose men that aren't too far below them if they have to date or marry down. For example, a lot of people want to bring up Serena Williams. They always try to take a dig at the swirlers and say, oh, Serena Williams, she married down. But her husband is still in the multi-millionaire club, right? He has a decent social standing and he has a ton to lose. That's much different from her marrying, I don't know, a red pill podcaster that happens to be a millionaire. Do you see the difference? A man that could bring her down socially, even though he may have a lot of money. Right? If Serena Williams was able to marry hypogamously and still make what appears to be a good choice of man, even though he doesn't have as much money as she does, even if they don't work out forever, he still appears to be a decent choice. But if she can do that, I'm quite sure Hallie could have done the same thing. And that's the point. I'm fully aware that all of these millionaire Black women can't find men who are on their level or above. We already know that. But the point is, you shouldn't be dating or marrying significantly down. Yeah, Christina says her husband has power. He's different. She did good. And then once you get up in the millionaire club, the multi-millionaire club, I mean, it doesn't really make a lot of difference like that. That's how I know some of y'all be just so broke. The way you talk, it's like, Serena married down. Sir, he's still a millionaire. He's a multi-millionaire. Like, you know what I'm saying? They're both in the millionaire club. She didn't date or marry a podcaster that makes, I don't know, $80,000 a year. She didn't do that. That's the point. We are fully aware. We know that every Black woman, celebrity or not, cannot be hypergamous. I don't know how many times I've said that. And see, a lot of y'all have heard me say that. But see, what the problem is, you're mad that I'm telling Black women to date up, to date equal or date up. You're mad that I'm encouraging Black women to stop dating down and stop settling for less. That is the real reason you're mad. And we know that. So you're acting like you don't get it. And there was also someone under my last video that wrote a comment and they were like, oh, Black people can't have social status because of white supremacy. And I'm sorry, I don't agree with that. I get what you guys are saying. I get where that's coming from because it's like, okay, racism will always exist. You'll always be Black, whatever. But I don't think most black people actually believe that. All you have to do is ask a Black person how they view women like Sexy Red versus a more quote unquote respectable woman like Michelle Obama. You'll see real quick that black people believe in social status, they believe in class, they believe in social standing, they believe in reputation, they believe in all that, especially when it comes to women. So what we're not going to do is, in the conversation of men, we're going to try to make all of them equal in social standing just because, you know, they might all have money or something like that. No. There are niggas with money who are still trash. They have a very bad reputation. They have a very bad social standing. Just like there are black women like Sexy Red who have a lot of money and her social standing sucks. So let's just be real here. Like, we're not going to give a pass just because we're talking about black men. That's what we're not going to do. Because y'all put black women on these different levels all the time. So, yeah, you're going to be put on different levels as well. Exactly. Millionaire pookies. Exactly. And I'm trying to stop yelling in my live streams because I notice, I notice like when I do pre-recorded videos, like I'm just talking normally, I'm talking soft or whatever. And in my live streams, I'm like projecting my voice. I need to stop doing that. So I'm really trying to work on that. Y'all help me out. When I get to yelling, tell me to lower my voice. Use my inside voice. Yeah, exactly. LAS says there was a huge backlash when Sexy Red showed up to a high school event. Exactly. And they're not going to have that same reaction if Michelle Obama showed up to a high school event. So you guys do believe in reputation. You do believe in class. You do believe in respectability. You believe in all that, except for when it comes to black men. And what we're not going to do, we're not going to give them a pass. So if a black person is telling you that we can't have social status or determine social standing because of racism and white supremacy, all you have to do is look at their behavior and how they treat or talk about different classes of black people. A lot of black people have a tendency to say one thing and do another. And they have a tendency to lie and say a bunch of BS that they don't believe to push a certain narrative. Usually about black men. So when listening to black people, you need to go primarily based on their actions. Because they be lying. And also, men of all socioeconomic statuses can embarrass a woman. They can intentionally impregnate her to slow her down. Just like DDG did Hallie. We all know that. But the point is, men who have a higher social standing usually have more to lose socially. And so they are usually more mindful and more responsible with how they move publicly, especially after a breakup. And then, you know, we can continue on the topic of Serena and her husband. Her husband at this point has never embarrassed her. He knows how to conduct himself publicly. DDG does not. And they both have money. So I don't know why y'all are acting like y'all can't see the difference, but we're not going to pretend over here. Men who have more to lose socially, they're usually more responsible because they have more to lose. Period. And if you Dusties are offended by that, then you need to get your social standing up. And you also need to get your money up, apparently. Because people with money understand what I'm saying. People who have things to lose totally understand what I'm saying. They get where I'm coming from. And so let's move on to the S worker topic. So, the girls on TikTok are debating about whether or not marriage is S work. Again, I have to censor myself because this is YouTube. Now, and they're arguing on TikTok about it. And let me preface this by saying that, or let me preface this, I should say. I have no dog in this fight because I'm not an S worker. I'm not a wife. I have no interest in being either one of them at this point. I'm going to just keep it real with you. I like being single. And personally, this is just me, right? I think both groups, whether it be S workers or married women or wives, I think both groups share pretty valuable information to women. I really do. Cause like I said, I spend quite a bit of time on TikTok and I look at both sides. And I think there's a lot of good information coming from both groups. And I don't understand why women can't learn from both. And I've said this before. I feel like as someone in the middle, I don't get triggered by hearing from either side. I just don't get triggered by it. And maybe because I'm not under any illusions about who men are. RB says you don't want to be a wife. Not really. I'm just going to keep it real with you. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. And so, I mean, that really means no. Because I just, I see what the wife, and I don't want to be an S worker either. Like, I see what both sides go through, and I don't want that life. Either side, it doesn't look appealing to me. I'm going to just be honest with you. Now, my mind could change on the marriage thing in the future, but as of right now, it's just, the lifestyle does not look appealing, and S work definitely doesn't look appealing to me. And I've said this before, but I would never promote or encourage S work to my audience because of the potential safety risks and also because of the stigmas associated with S work. Because like I said earlier, women have so much more to lose in the society that we live in, especially Black women. And then when you add on the stigma of S work, that just makes life unnecessarily much harder, And in general, purely transactional relationships, that's just not what most women want. And that's also not, most of us don't have the mindset for that, right? Most of us are too wrapped up in the idea of romantic love, right? But I do, here's what I want to say. I don't think S work and marriage are exactly the same. Okay. And I forgot to tell y'all, the link to the video, this interview that you see in front of you, is down in the description box. And the reason why I'm not going to play any clips is because I don't know if the girls are going to hit me with copyright or whatever. I've been hit with a copyright before playing videos, of course, on YouTube, but also on TikTok as well. So it gets real tricky on what I can play up here. So yeah, if you want to see the interview, definitely check it out. This is Slumflower. I forget the other girl's name on the left that did the interview. Oh, her name is on the screen, ZZ Mills. And she was interviewing Slumflower, and Slumflower, to my knowledge, based on what I heard her say in the interview, she's a dominatrix, I think part-time. So she's an S worker. And, in my opinion, and she was telling her, she said, this is going to be controversial, but, I think that marriage and S work are the same thing because they're both transactional. Women have to give up to give, right? You got to give something to get something. So it's transactional, right? And I do agree that, they're both transactional, right? But we're not going to sit here and lie and say that S work is exactly the same, because S work is purely transactional and the other is not. So I don't think that they can be equalized. And I do question because I hear this a lot from S workers, not just Slumflower. So I'm not attacking her or anything. I hear this a lot from S workers, and I do question if they're saying this because they actually believe it, or just to make themselves feel better because of the social stigma surrounding S work. Because like I told you, like, there is a stigma that comes with that. And let's just be real. A lot of women who don't do S work, they look down on it. Men look down on it, even though they are the customers of these S workers. Society in general looks down on S workers, even though they logging into X videos and Pornhub every other day. So, I think S workers are reacting to that. And I understand. I completely understand where they're coming from. Right? So I get why she said it, but it's like, girl, don't say stuff like that just to make yourself feel better, right? And I here's the thing with the wives, right? Like I said, I got critiques for both sides. Some of the wives on TikTok are so cringy, y'all. Like, they're just so preachy. Most of their videos are heavily policing other women and, criticizing women if they don't want to live exactly like they do. And it's like, I look at them too, and I'm like, if you have to do that all the time on TikTok, I question how happy they are in their marriage as well. They don't come across as being happily married at all. Like, a lot of y'all don't make marriage look appealing at all. Like, there are women on TikTok who I feel like who are just living their lives and they seem to be happily married. They just seem to be like easygoing. They look like they're happily married. They look like they're content. But the women who are preaching on there about being married and, just always talking about what women aren't doing for men, it's cringy. It's cringy as fuck. Yeah, Simply Bree says all relationships are transactional, romantic, work, etc. She said if you're sleeping with multiple people / men, married women usually aren't. Yeah, and that's the difference too. If you're performing and sleeping with several men at once, obviously that's not the same as a married woman who's with one man. It tastes so good says Chrissy, they miserable. They stay bothering us in sex S groups on Facebook and side chicks. LOL. Facebook topics. They're obsessed with single women. Yeah, I noticed that too. Like, but I feel like both sides are. Wait, are you talking about married women? I think you're talking about married women who are. Yeah. Why are y'all? Okay, my question for married women: why are you so obsessed with like policing single women, specifically for being single, if they're really not bothering you? Like, why are you so focused on like forcing your lifestyle onto people? And I feel the same way to a certain extent with sex workers. Like, girl, trying to equalize S work to marriage to make yourself feel better as an S worker, that's uncalled for. That shows me that you're probably not happy being an S worker. So my advice to women, if you are not happy in your current position, if you're so unhappy that you're trying to force your lifestyle onto other women, you probably need to get off of TikTok, get off of YouTube, whatever you're doing, and look in the mirror and try to be more happy, whatever that's going to take. Like, whatever you have to do to make that happen, you need to try to figure out what exactly is going to make you feel happy and what exactly is going to make you more fulfilled in life. Oh, yeah, they're real obsessed with child-free women. Very obsessed with child-free women. Destiny said, those women are not happy, but I don't think they're the majority of married women. Perhaps they aren't. It's just the fact that they're so loud on social media. And I've said this before, like, I feel like different extremes are usually the loudest on social media. And that applies to this conversation as well. It's like, in the hypergamy conversation, it's either like trad wife or S word. It's like there's hardly any in between. And the people who are in between, they don't go viral. You get what I'm saying? It's stuff like this that goes viral. And then we have to talk about it because it went viral. But it's like, if you're content in your lifestyle, you're not going to be like trying to get other women to do what you're doing. You're just going to be like, girl, get the bag. You know what I mean? And that's kind of where I'm at. Be safe, get the bag. Again, there are certain things I'm not going to promote, but I'm not going to just be out here just like constantly talking about S workers or single women or child free women. Like, I wouldn't do that. And I also feel like, because like the wife and the S worker, they're like polar opposites, right? It's like the whore Madonna complex, right? Men and society in general, they pit those women against each other. So a lot of y'all, you're competing for the title of who's the quote unquote better woman, usually for a man. When there really isn't a definite answer because men fuck with both of y'all. Right? At some point, even if not their entire lives, but at some point, a man has, looked at an S worker either on one of these, websites through a corn website or whatever. They've gotten off. I'm trying to censor myself. I think that's just gonna go out the window basically because I know I'm gonna end up saying some stuff. But like, baby, listen, they get their rocks off from S workers all the time, whether they be married or not. They may not physically be with one, but you think your husband never watches corn? Y'all might watch it together. So some of y'all watching S workers together. You know what I'm saying? I watch them. I be logging onto the site sometimes too, girl. So it's like, I don't feel like the competition about who's the better woman. I think that's pointless for women to do. But also, look, this is Chrissy After Dark, okay? We gonna talk about sex. Y'all, see, those of you who have been here for a while, the Chrissy After Darks back in the day, they used to get real spicy. Very, very spicy. Then y'all know Chrissy's a freak. Y'all already know that. Those who know, you know. But like, what I'm saying is, I think that women need to decide what is it that you want to be and what is the best choice for you depending on what you want, right? If you want children, then you want to be married. And I know that's controversial for some reason, but if you have children, you want your name on the house deed. You want your name on the life insurance. Being a wife and being married in general has social advantages as well as financial advantages. Right? And we can't just negate the economic and legal benefits of marriage. Shared health insurance, you saving money because society wants people to be married. So they reward you for that. You are incentivized for being married. So if you're going to have children, why would you not be married? You get tax advantages. And as far as, the social benefits, social acceptance, more social acceptance, if you care about that kind of stuff, which most of us do. Being married, I'll tell you, and this is why, me and my ex that I was engaged to, we had a conversation about this. Being married is a marker of stability, especially depending on like what career the man has. They look at that man as being more stable, more reliable, more dependable if he's married. And so, that could be another benefit of marriage. It's all, again, this is about perception, right? Doesn't necessarily have to be real, but if people perceive you a certain way, that's still beneficial, whether it's true or not. So if somebody perceives you to be more responsible, more stable, more professional, whatever, If that helps to extend your social circle because you're around more, married individuals and you have more support system, they see you as being more normal, that's beneficial. So if you want children and you're concerned about, hypergamy, leveling up, all that stuff, you do want to be married. So we're not going to sit here and, minimize that either if that's what you want. Again, we all want different things. Personally, I don't want children, so I'm not in a rush to be married. The career field that I have doesn't really depend on, that type of perception that comes with marriage. So it doesn't matter as much to me. Again, the men I date started from the bottom, rose up to the top. It's not really a class thing where it's like, oh, you have to be married. So it doesn't matter to me. But if that is something that you're concerned about, then yeah, it does matter. So again, you have to decide, what is it that you want? What is more important to you in your life? And the trajectory of your career and your life path. Every woman is going to be different. And obviously it also depends on cultural norms, whatever your culture is, and their attitudes towards marriage. All of that matters. And on the other hand, I do understand where the S workers are coming from. The freedom that comes with not having that weight on you as far as like social expectations and responsibilities. So that's why I said I understand both sides. I really do. And that's why I'm pretty neutral about it. I'm literally in the middle. Excuse me. And one thing I will tell y'all, like, even if you want to be married, and this is what y'all don't understand. Even if you want to be married and you want to have kids and you want to have the family, you want to have the American dream, right? You still need to listen to what the S workers are saying, girls. Ladies, I'm sorry. They know a lot more about men than you do. And the reason why S workers know more about men, usually on average, right? Or let me just not say S workers. I'm saying S workers because they are primarily there for transactional relationships. Any woman who is primarily there for a transactional relationship with a man, if that is her primary goal with men, they understand men more than you women who want marriage for love. And the reason that is because their feelings don't cloud their judgment when it comes to men. And so you need to listen to those ladies because they might know something that you don't know or you're not seeing very clearly when it comes to your man. Maybe they like they ass tickled and you don't know that. Maybe they like the finger up the booty, and because you're a good girl, they not being honest with you about that. So you're all shocked and surprised when you go through their porn history and it's pegging. And you're like, oh my God, he's watching pegging porn. Does he want to be pegged? Probably. He just can't tell you that because you're closed-minded. And the monetization for this video is out of the window. Because now I'm talking about pegging. But you get my point. And it could be something as simple as maybe he likes to wear your panties when you're not home. Maybe he likes to wear your underwear when you're not home. And the reason why I know this kind of stuff is because I have friends that either were sex workers or are. So you hear some wild stories. And also gay men too. So they tend to know a lot about men too. And they can clock an undercover gay male. Because one of my good friends, he's a black gay male. and he can clock a DL man, a man who is on the down low. Some of those men, masculine, you would never know. Super masculine, super buff, you would never know. And this is both white and black men. And that's another thing you all need to get over. Like when it comes to this race thing, this is why as black women, yeah, expand your options, but you also don't want to be delusional about men either. Because look, I know that a lot of black men are gay as fuck. Don't get me wrong. I know a lot of them like trans women and all that, but all men are like that. All men are like that. There are men, all men of all races have the propensity to be gay, to be pedos, all of that stuff. I'm not trying to scare you. I'm just trying to make you aware. And you know, that's another reason why y'all probably need to expand your social circle as well, because quiet as it's kept, the white girls are more open to gay men than black women. I don't know if that's really a secret now that I think about it. Like, I don't think that's really a secret, but I know like my white girlfriends, you talking about women who will do something strange for a little change and put up with something strange for a little change. That's white women more than anybody. More than anyone, white girls. A lot of those white women with and men really of any socioeconomic status, but high earning men, you would never think. Some of them are fucking their men in the ass. They licking ass. They're what's that other thing that some of them do? What is it where they degrade the men and they like call their penises small and stuff like that? What is that called? Somebody put it in the chat. What is it called? Are there any S workers in here? No, not cucking. No. Is it degradation? Is that what it is? Humiliation kink. That is what it is. Yes, that's what it is. Some of them are into that as well because out in the real world, they have to be super professional and traditional and masculine and manly. And so in the bedroom, they want to be a little bit submissive. There are men like that as well. And I'm not saying it's super, common. I'm just saying it exists. So you don't want to close your mind off to that. You don't want to put the blinders on that kind of stuff because, oh, that would never be my man. Or, oh, S work. Ooh, that's disgusting when your man may be into some of that stuff. So, my point of saying all of that is you want to listen to the S workers. You want to listen to them when they tell you things to look out for. Because some of y'all think you know your men and you don't. And this is why I am just so big on vetting and really getting to know a man and making him feel as comfortable as possible to tell you anything. All of his deepest, darkest secrets, all of his fantasies, because a lot of them do that with S workers. They tell them their secrets that their wives don't know. And so my mentality is this: even if you aren't a S worker, you need to think like one. You need to think like one. You need to have that in your mind. You need to have that game. And you need to learn what they do as far as, I hate to say manipulation, but that's kind of what it is. You have to be able to make them feel extremely comfortable to tell you their secrets. And I feel like S workers are really good at that. S workers and women who primarily are transactional in relationships, such as myself. Because for me, like, yeah, love is cute, feelings are cute or whatever, but yeah, I'm primarily here for the bag. And so you have to have a certain level of detachment emotionally so you can really learn these men, all of them, for who they are. And this is not me saying, I feel like most of the men I've encountered are very vanilla. So I'm not even saying all of this is super common. And I think S workers try to exaggerate it and make it more than what it is because that is the men that they're around all the time. So of course they're going to be like, oh, and your man's going to do this and your man's going to do that. And your man is like this and your man is that. Most men are extremely vanilla. But there are some that aren't. And you need to be able to recognize that. Yeah, if you want romantic love and you want a man with money, that's fine. I'm not saying you can't find both. There are women that find both. I'm just saying, for me, money is first, it's primary. And I'm a very emotionally detached person. So that's easy for me. It's easier for me to detach. And I'm not 100% sold on the idea of monogamy. I don't even really 100% like being monogamous. I'm seeing two people right now. So I am not a monogamous person. I'm not a traditional woman. But I also don't try to force my lifestyle onto other people. And that is what I don't like about S workers. That's what I don't like about married women. Y'all are trying to force your lifestyle onto other women. Don't do that. And the reason my platform is the way it is, and I've told y'all this before, is because I know what most women want. I know most of y'all want a traditional relationship. You want a traditional marriage with children. So I'm going to give you the advice that best leads to that outcome. It's not necessarily marriage advice. It's just advice that's going to get you to that destination. And you need to know the men that you're dealing with. That's all I'm saying. You need to know how to vet these men. And they can be vetted. There are a lot of S workers trying to force their lifestyle. I've seen it before. But I don't know. If I had to weigh it out, I definitely think there's more wives trying to force the lifestyle onto everybody. Because that is more socially acceptable for a woman to be married. But I think we as women, we all need to accept that every woman is not going to choose the same lifestyle. And we all need to accept that a lot of these men ain't shit. They not. They not. And what I think the benefits of, I didn't mention the benefits of, I'm not an S worker, so I can't really directly speak to the benefits of that. But what I see from S workers, they seem to have more freedom. Now I do think that some of them aren't honest about the fact that many of them are beholden to men, just like the wives are. And this is why I just feel like being in the middle is the best place. Really, I do. Because I feel like if you have to perform for men for money, if that is your main source of income, you are beholden to men. Now, you may have more freedom as far as being able to leave and come and go when you want. You may not be tied down by children, which that part does give you more freedom, but you still are beholden to men. You have to perform for men all the time, consistently. Just like wives. That's why I would never be a S worker, because I'm not about to perform for men 24. So I'm not doing that. No. Especially men I don't like. Absolutely not. I could never. Whether it be, it doesn't matter what it is. Even if it's online and I'm a cam model or something, I wouldn't want to do that all day, every day. That's just not, that doesn't sound appealing for me. But what I will say is, they can turn it off and turn it on usually when they want. And that's what I mean by freedom. You get what I'm saying? They don't always have to be in S work mode as much as I think a wife and a mother would have to be in wife and mother mode. If that makes sense. Yeah, that, and Star said it better. She said that's true in a way, but S workers can take long breaks away from men. Wives can't. Yeah, and that's what I was getting at. And so, like I said, I see the benefits of both. The wives, to me, get the more social benefits, right? And the S workers seem to get more financial benefits and a little bit more freedom. And I feel like single women who have our own fucking money and who make money outside of S work and outside of, men only, I feel like we have more freedom than anybody. So I keep telling y'all, I feel like the middle is the sweet spot. Y'all want to listen. The middle is the sweet. Nobody wants to listen to women in the middle because we're not extreme enough. But the middle, the happy medium, that's why I call it a happy medium. Cause I don't have to be bothered with men. I don't need a man for money. It's nice. It's nice. And I do be using men for money. I ain't gonna lie. I do use men for money. Okay. But it's a take or leave kind of thing. I'm not dependent upon them for my survival. Right? And the only way I'm getting married, listen, the only way a man is going to lock me down, like, I have to be satisfied. Like, and being that I'm such a detached person and I love my solitude, he has to be just as good as that solitude. And when I say solitude, I'm talking about like because y'all know I write music. I'm talking about when I'm in the studio for hours at a time writing music. Time with that man, me spending time with that man has to be as good as that. If it's not, I'm not getting married. So that's a pretty high bar to reach, but that's my standard. Like, I have to be that happy with that man most of the time. I know that relationships aren't happy all the time, but it has to feel like that most of the time. That's just me. And he got to be generous. Which to me, that's easy to find. Generous men who are willing to pay, that's pretty easy to find. But it's that other stuff. Like, and that's why I couldn't personally be an S worker and I couldn't have a purely transactional relationship because I have to like the man that I'm getting money from. I have to like him. And I have to want to be around him for, a long periods of time. And one thing that I see about, when it comes to like S workers and just women who are more transactional with men, they're very good at detaching from them emotionally. They're very good at that. And to me, that is what a lot of women can learn. But y'all are so busy looking down on them, you're not learning the game. And so, when I saw this interview, I just kind of laughed. Even though I didn't agree with the girl 100%, I still understood where she was coming from. And I wanted to hear what else she had to say. Because I know she knows a lot about men. So, some of y'all need to keep your minds open. That's all I'm saying. Yeah, I think, and I've always been of the mindset that, when it comes to marriage, you shouldn't look at men like the prize or marriage as the prize. You should look at it like a social benefit. You should look at it like something, anything else that's going to help you level up in life. And you should always think, okay, this could end. It should never be, and I don't, I don't want to sound like I'm saying that you can't be in love with the man you're married with, that, it can't be about love at all. It can. I'm just saying you should also be realistic. Trauma Queen says, what happened to love? Look, I can be a love bug too. I get it. I like all the feels too. I be in my feelings too. I understand. I completely understand. But I just don't think that marriage or relationships with men should be primarily about love. And I mean, look, men, the relationships they have with you aren't primarily about love. Usually they're not. They're about sex and what you look like. That's what initially attracts men to you. You have to have that. You have to have sex appeal. Your sex game has to be good for him to usually even want to put a ring on it. A man has to be attracted to you before you can even fall in love. So how is that different from me saying, the money got to be right, the personality got to be right before I can fall in love and get married? It's the same thing with me. When I was younger, I used to fall in love really easily. Now, girl. And it's not even that I have a wall up. It's just that, girl, no. It's just I'm harder to penetrate now. Anika says love is a lie. Men only love with their pockets. Okay, girl. I do believe that men can love. I'm not one of those people that be like men aren't capable of love. I think that men are capable of love. I do. Just saying, men don't marry for sex. Okay, well, men, I think that they marry for convenience. Let me put it like that. For the most part, men marry for convenience. They want to have lifetime access to sex and to a woman's labor. I think that love can be in there too, but I think y'all are delusional if you think men only marry for love. That's not true. Yeah. Inner Black Beauty says, but a man's love is very conditional. It is. And I think that was my point. And to be honest with you, I'm happy that women are becoming pickier because it's like a lot of us have been selling ourselves short if you really want to keep it real. Again, women have so much more to lose in this society. And I feel like a lot of us for a long time have been settling just for love. And so I'm happy to see more women saying, no, no. If I can't have X, Y, and Z, I'm going to be single. Yeah. Coco Island says, do you feel like Lori Harvey is how women should date, Chrissy? I do think Lori Harvey is good at, cutting men off early. I think she's good at cutting her losses early. So in that sense, yes. Now the type of men she's choosing, no. But she's young, so that's gonna happen. But yeah, I see a lot of people like using her as the hypergamous icon. That's a little too much. But I do like how she. Oh, and another thing, she does not leave with baggage. She's not allowing these men to knock her up. She's not allowing that. Did y'all see Lupita? She announced that she was no longer with what's his name, that white man. So I feel like Lupita, that was a kind of a bad decision. No, it really was a bad decision to date that man. But she left with no baggage. And that's something that women need to learn to do. Like, cut your losses early. Even if, you make a mistake, you want to have fun. And so you make a mistake, and you end up fucking with a fuck boy. You get with a fuck boy temporarily because you're just stupid temporarily. You know what I mean? We've all done it. And so the idea is to don't stay too long. Cut your losses early. And don't leave with a baby. Don't let him get you pregnant. Yeah, Jodie Turner's ex. What was Lupita thinking, girl? And that ties into this conversation about social standing. Like, I feel like Lupita felt like she had to announce that because she knows getting with that lady's ex who wasn't even divorced yet. He just got out of this relationship with this brand new baby, and you start dating him. She know that made her look bad, and it did, because everybody was like, okay, girl, Lupita, not you. Not you. Because again, that's another example of somebody who had a higher social standing. Joshua, I mean, he's not broke at all or whatever, but the way all that shit came out, like with him and Jody and how she proposed and all, nobody liked Jonathan after that. Everybody was like, this, bummy white man, like, people were mad at him, especially black women were mad at that man. Yeah, Joshua Jackson. I don't call that man Jonathan. Y'all know I'm bad with names. Y'all know I'm bad with names. And so for Lupita to get her, sloppy seconds, it was like, girl, Lupita, you better than that, girl. And so, she knows she had to come back and be like, okay, that's done. I was just kidding. I was just playing. Yeah, we're done. She had to come back and correct that, if you will, okay? She had to come back and correct that with the people, okay? Because that wasn't a good look for her reputation. And so, again, this is why it's very important to get with somebody who has a high social standing. Not just money, but a high social standing as well. Or a social standing that's just as good as yours. Let me put it like that. Because not all of us have high social standing as women. Yeah, Toffee Tastic says she didn't care about Jody's feelings. Yeah, she came off as a woman who wasn't really a girl's girl. And people just did not expect that of Lupita at all. So yeah, she had to come back and be like, yeah, no, just kidding. We're over. We're done. And I hope that she makes a better decision going forward when it comes to men. I think she still needs to keep her options open, dating all races of men, but she don't have to take on another woman's sloppy seconds or dealing with married men who are, just left their wife or whatever with a brand new baby. I think Jody left him, but you get my point. And wasn't he known to be a cheater or something, flirting around with different people? Yeah, no. That was a bad choice. Yeah, I'm starting to see that. Gypsy said Lupita never had the best taste in men. Yeah. Yeah. Clisheus one says everyone's love can be conditional. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I think we all love conditionally, even though we talk about unconditional love. We all to a certain extent love conditionally, but I do think that women tend to put love at the forefront more than men. I mean, we can't deny that, ladies. We can't deny that. We're not going to sit here and equalize women and men. Like, we're different. On average, we're different. Time is it? It's been an hour. Okay, I'm going to stay on here 10 more minutes. What else y'all want to talk about? It's open topic now. Yeah, KP said Lupita was being a pick me. Yeah. Bad look. But again, women are allowed to make mistakes. So it happens to the best of us, y'all. You got to give her some grace. Even though, how old is Lupita? It's like, girl. But I'm going to give our sis some grace. Whatever. No, I didn't see the video of Tarana Burke. What happened with Tarana Burke? LAS says, what new music are you listening to, Chrissy? I've been enjoying Money Long's. Oh, Money has an album? Wait, hold on. Thank you for letting me know because I need to check that out. Somebody else was telling me to listen to K Tronada, and I listened to that a couple nights ago, and that's pretty good. Like, I like most of the women features he had on there are pretty good. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and download. Let me download that now so I don't forget. Money Long. We love some Money Long. Where is it? Okay, there it is. CCF says, going back to men who ghosted or trying to wait, what? Back for the bag? Are you asking, should you go back to a man who ghosted you? I wouldn't. Personally. Yeah, I want to know why Tarana went viral too. Because I didn't hear anything about that. Yeah, I think Kate Tronada's older albums are better. I agree. I agree. And I wonder why Sid wasn't on the new album. I was expecting to hear Sid. Oh, the Green Lantern controversy. Oh, I saw that. And I just didn't feel compelled to talk about it, but I have talked about this in the past, y'all. I've talked about how black men, will pretend that dark skinned women are just making up colorism in their heads. And then, when we talk about the erasure of black women, dark skinned women in the media, they pretend, oh, you're making it up. I have videos, y'all. I still have the videos. But then when it's them, they want to act like, all of a sudden they understand everything about colorism down to a T. So that's what they get. And to my knowledge, I didn't see a lot of black women defending them. Was it a lot of black women jumping up and caping for them? I hope not. Because, ladies, when this kind of stuff happens, you need to leave them to fight their own battles. Right. We need to treat them the same way. Oh, you're making that up in your head. You tripping. That's a strong black king right there. What is the man they got what's the man that they cast to play the lantern dude? What's his name? Yeah, I told y'all a long time ago they need to get a taste of their own medicine. That's the only way they're gonna understand colorism. What do you? Kay says every girl I saw was playing dumb. What do you mean they were playing dumb? Yeah, when we talked about Zoe Saldana playing Nina Simone, black men they didn't jump in that fight. They let us battle that out on our own. They didn't jump in that. But yeah, I just, I've done so many videos about that. I don't even want to talk about the shit. Like, it's just like, girl, over and over and over again. I talked about how black men, how they treat Steph Curry. I did a 2-part video on that. And how they always, in the NBA, calling that man, talking about his light skin, talking about how he's weak and all this stuff. But when it comes to us, anytime we criticize, erasure in the media, anytime we criticize a light-skinned woman for colorism or whatever, we're getting called bitter, jealous, and angry. And so, are they bitter, jealous, and angry too when it comes to this? I think so. Were they bitter, jealous, and angry of Drake? Yes. All of them niggas are. Because I told y'all before, and y'all wanted to get mad at me in the comment section, but that's primarily what that Kendrick versus Drake beef was about. They was trying to kick Drake out the club because he got too big for him. And he was becoming too big and in the face of black manhood and hip hop. And they were not about to let that continue. Which, look, respect, okay? Black women, dark-skinned women need to do the same shit. Star says they're so jealous of Drake. They are. But black women, dark-skinned women, why don't you do the same thing? I don't understand. You see how these men, they can have all the biracial male children in the world, and they will still mark their territory when it comes to their representation. They are the prime example of dating and mating with whoever they want and still prioritizing their image in the media. They do it the best. They do it the best. And that's why I keep telling y'all, if they can do that, if everybody else can have those double standards, you can too. And it's not just black men who do it. Everybody does it. White men do it. White men, they be having these little Eurasian babies. And they still uphold white supremacy. They still want to be, uphold the power structure to the white man's favor. They still do that as white men. And with black women, just because you date interracially and you have biracial children, all of a sudden you're responsible for protecting the whole mixed race community. No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. And y'all can get mad about it. I'm going to keep saying it over and over and over again. Just because you date and marry out and have biracial children does not make you responsible for the collective of the mixed race community. You are not responsible for them. Just like they can birth you, all of these colorless light-skinned women and dark-skinned men can have dark-skinned daughters. They don't feel any obligation to protect the collective of dark-skinned women. They don't feel that for you. They don't feel obligated to do that for you. So why do you feel obligated to do that for them? I'm going to keep saying it over and over. And y'all going to keep getting mad, but that's how I feel. And the only way I'll change it is if everybody else changes. But no, I didn't feel like doing a whole video on this. And what's so interesting about it is there are certain groups of people who complained about me talking about colorism and who complained about, me having color charts. And all of a sudden they're doing videos and live streams on colorism. Isn't that interesting? And saying the exact same thing I said years ago. But somehow when they talk about colorism, it's so different. It's not. It's not. And that's another thing they do. Dark-skinned women can't talk about colorism, but everybody else can. Chrissy can't talk about colorism because then I'm playing victim. I'm being divisive. But they can say the same exact thing I say in my videos. And somehow it's not the same thing. Very interesting. And I'm like, how y'all get to it before me? How y'all get to the color chart topic before me? How y'all get to the colorism topic before me? When you told me to stop talking about it. How does that work? And then you throwing shots in your live stream. Like nobody's gonna know. Girl, stop. Y'all need to stop. I just don't see how people can criticize colorism channels so much, and specifically me, and really literally be repeating everything I said in their video about color. That just throws me for a loop every single time. I think that's so funny. And you know what? I think we should pull up the video. Because I think y'all need to hear this shit. Let's see. I'm going to pull up this video and then we can go. Because I just want y'all to hear where some of these people getting their colorism talking points from. But they told me to stop talking about it. I think we need to pull the receipts. Don't you? Let's see here. Let's see. Is this the one? The future face of black masculinity. The Rock as John Henry sparks colorism convo. Let's share my screen real quick. Y'all look, I've been saying this since 2018. Listen to this part. Next week, when a woman who looks like The Rock, who looks like she could be The Rock's sister, if black women say she's not black and she can't portray a black woman, they are going to drag us on social media and tell us we're bitter and black women come in all shades and all colors and we're just jealous and she's black just like you. That's what they're gonna say. Okay, and if there is one thing that I can say about black men, they are inconsistent. They are hypocritical when it benefits them. They are hypocrites when it benefits them. But I'm just saying, dark-skinned women, we need to take notes, okay? Because these men, they can make all the biracial boys in the world with these non-black women, but they will be damned if they let they beige asses replace them in the media. Not without a fight. Not without a fight. They are not going to let the Drakes of the world, I mean, their own sons, they are not going to let them replace them, okay? And I'm just saying, black women, as we talk about how we're going to swirl it up and get non-black men, take notes, okay? If you have biracial daughters, you can love them to death, but they cannot represent you as a black woman, okay? And dark-skinned black men, they understand this. They understand this way better than we do. Way better than we do. And, you know, when I look at this, I'm like, this is just the beginning. This is just the beginning, but you know, dark-skinned black men, they are not going to allow this to happen. Not on their dime. They're definitely not going to pay for it. Okay? They're not going to let this happen on their dime without a fight like dark-skinned women have done for so long. And, you know, when I look at this, I'm like, what I'm doing now with Divine Dark Skin is probably what dark-skinned black men are going to do eventually, way before it gets out of hand like it has with dark-skinned women. You know, and I can't give them all the credit for that because white men are responsible for giving black men a platform in mainstream media, you know, through sports and entertainment. Anyway, that was it. I mean, this was in 2018, y'all. 2018. Yeah. So, and I said back then that it was going to get worse. And I said that they were not going to let it get too bad. And what just happened with Kendrick and Drake? Yeah. Black men put it into that shit quick, fast, in a hurry. I'm not saying this is the end, because there ain't nothing really they can do about sports. They can't really do anything about the biracial men dominating sports. But they can definitely do something about the hip hop, the face of hip hop. Even though white men technically control that too. But they are going to be able to control who is the face of that. Yeah. So yeah, nothing new. Said it back in 2018. My talking points on these other platforms, as they throw me under the bus, they using my talking points. This ain't nothing new. And so you can imagine why I didn't want to do a video on it. I've been talking about it for years. But I do find it ironic that the same people who told me to shut up about colorism are now repeating my talking points. I thought y'all didn't care about colorism. I thought you didn't care about color charts. Why are you talking about it? And sounding like Chrissy. That's funny. So yeah, I just wanted to bring up those receipts. And show you who said it back in 2018. And the only reason why I'm bringing that up is because I'm always being accused of copying people and taking people's talking points. So, you know, I have to show the receipts sometimes. That's all. Mm-hmm. But anyway, yeah, it's been a while. It's almost been an hour and a half. So let me get off here. I am going out of town in a couple days. So I won't be back until next week. I don't know when, but I'll definitely try to keep you guys occupied with some shorts or whatever. But I don't know when I'll be on here live again, or, you know, when I'll release a pre-recorded video. I don't know, because I'm gonna be busy for the next week or so. So that's why I wanted to come on here and chop it up with you guys a little bit, because I'm gonna be MIA for a minute. Well, you're gonna see shorts, but you know. So this was fun. Silk and Satin says, Chrissy, tell us about the two people you're seeing. I have learned my lesson, and I'm not gonna give any more details on that. Just know that I'm seeing two people. That's all you getting. Stay out my business. Okay, y'all. Love you. Like, share, and subscribe. Thank you for listening. Talk to you next week. Bye.